5. Minnie Vautrin was making one of her daily tours again around the college's 40-acre campus. The young mother she saw late last night still stood by the front gate, scanning the women, young girls, and little children who kept pouring in. Her cheeks were reddened by the icy cold December morning. The woman had lost her 10-year-old daughter as they pushed through the crowded streets to get to the women's college, now a refugee center for women and children. She needed to wait at the gate in case her daughter drifted past the campus. That was her hope. She had expressed it to whoever stopped to comfort her. "Miss Hua," said Helen, who was with Minnie this morning, "let me try again." Helen went up to the young mother and said something to her in Chinese. The young mother shook her head and remained frozen where she was, a living human statue bespeaking the miseries of war. Helen walked back to Minnie, shaking her head too. Would anyone still argue for the idiotic necessity of war? All they needed to do was to come and look at this young mother, to see the terrified women, girls, and children both inside and outside the campus, and to have a glance at what Minnie had seen at the lower pass dock and train station back in late November. Wounded soldiers from Shanghai sprawled on the cold dirt floor in mute, convulsive agony. A soldier in rags groaning heart-rendingly, gaping wounds in his nose and eyes, unbandaged, making his face a ghastly sight. Another soldier with a death-like look in his eyes, one of his legs having been blown off up to the hip, the rotting flesh in the undressed wounds emitting wafts of a sickening odor. "Miss Hua," said Helen as they walked past the quad in front of the central hall, a large building with raised eaves and imposing columns. "See the flag?" Fluttering high in the morning breeze was a 30-foot stars and stripes in the center of the quad. Minnie had had it made back in September to signal to the Japanese bombers that Jingling College was American property. So far, Old Glory had served its purpose quite well, like the umbrella she had used all these years. It was a gift she received during her first return visit to Sector, Illinois in 1918. "You think it'll protect us from the soldiers too?" Minnie asked. "Let's hope so," replied Helen. "Somehow," Minnie said as they continued to tour the campus, "I like it better when you or just about everybody else at the college call me Miss Hua. It makes me feel so at home here." "Well," Helen smiled, "it has been your home for almost 20 years now, right?" "Yes, and if you count my early years in Anhui province, it'll be 25 years. It seemed only yesterday that a teary-eyed 10-year-old Minnie sat in her pew between her father and her little brother. Mother had died of a sudden illness 4 years before, listening to a woman missionary who had just returned from China. "Why did I go to China?" the woman cried out, her eyes glowing with passion. "Because a million a month in that great land are dying without God. Can you picture what it is to die without God? Oh, brothers and sisters, can you picture what it is to live without God? Have you ever thought of it, to have no hope for the future and none for the present? Bring hope to the people of that faraway land. That would be her calling," the young girl had decided then. That was what she had been doing right after she graduated from the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana with a bachelor's degree in education. Now she had already celebrated her 50th birthday. She loved the red scrolls and the Chinese character of longevity her colleagues and students used to decorate the birthday party. She loved the birthday dinner of long-life noodles, the statue of the goddess of longevity they presented her, and the firecrackers they set off to celebrate the occasion. But she, already 50 years old? Minnie sighed. They were already on the South Hill. From here, they could have a clear view of the Purple Mountain outside the city walls. The campus was filled with women and young girls with cropped hair and blackened faces. The very sight of the washings dangling on every tree branch and every shop along sidewalks and campus walls would give any visitor a sense of the enormity of the challenge Minnie was facing, providing not only protection but also the daily food, shelter, and the most basic sanitation for the thousands of refugees now being sheltered on the campus. As they walked down a little path which led to a side door of the campus, Minnie stopped and frowned whenever she saw a broken shrub, a chrysanthemum stalk that had been trampled. Why can't they be just a bit more careful? She had helped in designing the campus, its magnificent Chinese-style buildings with the upturned eaves and grand columns and the well-manicured lawn alive with blossoms in spring and radiant colors in fall. She had planted many of those trees and flowers with her own hands. "They'll grow back, Miss Hua," murmured Helen apologetically. "Yes," Minnie sighed. "When this madness is over, they'll all grow back and grow back fast." A pause. "I still remember the first day your dad came to school with you 4 years ago. Now you've already graduated and will become a mother soon." "I know, but you should have seen my dad's face when I told him. He almost fell over." Minnie smiled.